Welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it's time once again for another episode of Rachel Review, so let's just hop into it. And now we reach the end of the original Star Wars trilogy with Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Yeah, why did George Lucas start this in the middle of the saga? Again, I saw this movie in 1997 when I was 9 when they re-released it into theaters, and I will be really honest, the first movie is my favorite one now, but when I was a kid, this movie was my favorite. Gee, I wonder why that is. So in 1980, when The Empire Strikes Back was released, it was another huge success, but it did catch people off guard with its cliffhanger as well as its twist, which led to everyone having to wait another 3 whole years for the story to finally conclude. But nonetheless, the franchise still continued to thrive, and in 1983, the big day finally came and the final film in the original trilogy was released. Even though George Lucas was obviously planning to do more films and he wouldn't get to that for like another 16 years or so, but who cares? This time around, we are finally introduced to the evil gangster Jabba the Hutt, who was only referenced a few times in the previous films. And yeah, I know that George Lucas wants you to think that you met him in the first film in the special editions, but that doesn't count. He's holding Han Solo captive, so Luke and Leia try to break in to rescue him with the help of Lando. Oh hey, those names all start with L's, huh? But long story short, Luke and Leia are also captured, so Luke ends up fighting off a monster, then he and Han are sentenced to death, but also manage to fight off Jabba's men through a fun action sequence, then everyone escapes and destroys Jabba the Hutt for good. And that's only the first half hour! Everyone heads off to rendezvous with the rebellion while Luke goes to seek out Yoda, with only enough time to witness him die. Better late than never? But Luke finds out there's another Skywalker out there. Who could it be? And he soon meets up with everyone else so they can plan to take down the new Death Star that's being built by the Empire. Yeah, cause it worked so well the first time around for the Empire, didn't it? Our heroes journey to a nearby moon where the Death Star shield generator is, and they soon come across the moon's inhabitants, which are called Ewoks. Before long, they team up with the Ewoks to take down the Empire for good. Lando and everyone else of the rebellion venture off to blow up the Death Star, and Luke separates from the group again to officially confront Vader as well as the Emperor. So now it's down to whether or not the rebels can defeat the Empire, as well as whether or not Luke will turn to the dark side. Well, what do you think is gonna happen? Okay, so let's start from the beginning. First of all, there's the Jabba the Hutt scenes. If the movie hadn't started off with all of this stuff, it's actually very possible that I probably wouldn't have liked this movie as much as I did when I was growing up. I mean, it does have puppet characters, and I'm sure that got a lot of kids' attention. But besides that, I think one of the big reasons why these scenes work is because there is a bit of a suspense and mystery build-up to them. We start off with the droids visiting Jabba's palace to pass on a message, and then being forced to stay there. And we don't even really get any of the main characters for the first 20 minutes. You know that they're coming, but we don't quite know when they're coming. That's what she said. Now that would have been boring, but the palace itself does have a lot of personality and it keeps us interested in what's going on. Plus, I do think that Jabba is a much more interesting character than I think a lot of us anticipated. He's a gangsta slug who's lazy, and with all the stuff he gets away with, you just love to hate him for it. When you really think about it, the only reason that Han was captured in the last film is to put us on a cliffhanger, so they tried to make it into like this really big deal by dedicating the first part of this movie to his rescue. And as interesting as it is, when you come down to it, it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. You could have just made it so that Han wasn't captured or needed rescuing, cut out the first half hour of this movie, and it probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference. So yeah, I can understand why a lot of people think it's unnecessary and why it probably should have been cut out of the film, but let's face it did give us sexy slave Leia. Yup, through all the Jabba pointlessness, I think a lot of you don't mind tolerating these scenes because if you didn't, then you wouldn't have gotten the chance to look at Leia in a gold bikini. Come on guys, it's worth it, isn't it? Oh no, she was captured by Jabba. Oh no, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Are they gonna throw her in the dungeon? Oh no, she's in a bikini. Oh snap, we didn't see that coming. Oh wow, she's sexy, oh my god. Yeah, you know, before I even knew I liked girls, damn, she was something to behold in that outfit. Thank you, George Lucas. And this would take forever if I went into it, but seriously, don't even get me started on the stuff that was added in the special edition version of this movie. Let's just say it's some of the worst and most pointless CGI of all the films. And I do mean all of them. So yes, to be perfectly honest, I probably did enjoy this movie a lot because of the first part more than anything, because it is kind of kid-friendly and it's got puppets and it's got nice colors and, you know, Jabba's a cool character and of course we got Leia, but I'm gonna be really honest, I also really like the Ewoks. Oh, those cute little Ewoks with their cute little adorable faces and their little native gear and their little blinky eyes and wait. And yes, I do understand that a lot of fans think that all those things I just mentioned are kind of what makes this the lesser film of the bunch. Not that it's bad, but I guess for a lot of people it just kind of doesn't live up to the whole, you know, heightened nerdgasm epicness of the first two films. This is so conflicting. Here's the thing. Yes, I agree that this movie probably has more moments where it feels lighter and it's more humorous, but I guess to me, it just never got to the point where all that stuff felt like it was cheesy or like it wasn't necessary or like it didn't have any point to it. I don't care what you say. I like the Ewoks. Maybe it's because they're cute, yes, but I think it's also because these little furballs get shit done. When they thought everyone was a threat, they took action against them. And again, when they found out their moon was being invaded, they teamed up with the rebels and defended their home. Sure, if these guys were really obnoxious or a bunch of scared pansies like Jar Jar, then yeah, I wouldn't blame you for not liking them. But you can't deny that not only do these little guys spring into action to fight the enemy, they also do feel like living characters that have developed a society. And there is something very endearing about them. In a way that also kind of ties into the whole nature versus technology metaphor, but that's a discussion for another day. Say what you will about the Empire being a bunch of pussies that were brought down by teddy bears, but those Ewoks did put up a good fight, and there were sacrifices made. And plus it was Lando that blew up the Death Star, not the Ewoks. And as far as the humor, I don't care. I like it. And you can kind of tell in some ways that George Lucas or the studio or whoever was really trying to pander to the younger crowd, but it never really bothered me. I'll accept this moment. Yeah, that was a pretty lame way to kill off the popular and mysterious Boba. But in the end, I feel like this movie does complete the trilogy with all of its choices, because not only does it have some of the most decent humorous moments in the trilogy, don't forget it also has some of the darkest moments. And again, I think this is why most people tolerate the whole first half hour as well as all the stuff with the Ewoks, because the buildup of Luke confronting Vader and also finally meeting the Emperor is just so good. As we can see from the beginning of this movie, Luke has grown up a lot. He's more serious, he's willing to take charge, and has confidence in his abilities as a Jedi. He's a bit of a cocky Jedi, but he started off in the first film as kind of like the naive kid who didn't know a whole lot about the world, but then reality set in and now he takes things more seriously. He's no longer the wide-eyed innocent we were first introduced to. Everything he's been through in the past 3 films have affected him greatly. And when he finally meets the Emperor, he's pretty sure he's not going to turn to the dark side. But it gets really suspenseful because there are some moments where it looks like he could turn to the dark side. He really is one of the most relatable characters in this franchise because he genuinely grows and changes and takes responsibility throughout his arc. And he's not a perfect person. He has moments of weaknesses where he almost turns to the person he doesn't want to be. That and this right here is basically what all the movies have been building up to. Especially if you got wrapped up in the drama and the twist of the previous film. We finally meet the Emperor in all of his evil-like glory. And with Ian McDiarmid playing the part, yeah, he's pretty terrifying. Okay, I mean, I didn't like run out of the room whenever he was on screen or anything, but you know what I mean. Let's face it, the Star Wars films are not exactly subtle when it comes to their imagery of good versus evil. I mean, just look at the Stormtroopers. But even I admit, having the Emperor look old and frail and evil-like is pretty compelling because, again, it gives him this great sense of history. We know by now that the dark side of the Force is not just bad, it's seductive. It's like a drug you can't quit. It will pretty much drain you of any rational sense of good. I feel like watching the Emperor, we get the idea that the dark side has consumed him over the years and taken a toll on him, much like how any addictive substance can. Of course, once we saw the prequels, we found out that's not the case, but still, before we watched those movies, that is what it felt like. Even so, his creepy look along with his confidence and fearlessness and power he possesses, he's just so intimidating. And his evil attitude does have a few little wacky moments, but you know, it's not to the point where I'm like laughing out loud and like not getting into it, and it still works. It still shows that he's dangerous and he's not to be messed with. this movie has some of the best drama, effects, and action sequences from all the films, and those things may not completely balance out the lesser stuff, but like I said before, I do think it's enough that this movie does complete the saga. I mean, if you don't like the Ewoks, or if you're not even a fan of the Jabba scenes, I understand. But I still have yet to hear of anyone that completely dismisses this movie or tries to fast forward through those parts, because through all of its campiness and its odd balance of humor as well as its serious tone, it just kind of works. And don't forget, Star Wars in general is a combination of many influences. George Lucas was obviously inspired by a lot of past stories and movies when he came up with this concept, and it was also a collaboration of many artists and ideas. And usually that would create a big mess, but here, by some miracle, it just all seems to make sense. This movie is not perfect. In fact, you know what? Not any of the movies are perfect. None of them are. But what does make them unique and different is that none of them are like one another. The first movie is an adventurous romp. The second one is like a dramatic Shakespearean tragedy. And the third one is the third one. They all have flaws, they all have lesser moments, but they're still all watchable and layered and entertaining. You can't help but get sucked into all of them, as well as feel complete when Return of the Jedi comes to a close. You don't feel cheated like you didn't get your money's worth. It appropriately ended one of the most hyped films in cinema history. And it might be because a lot of the dark moments are some of the better from all the films, but I also give a lot of credit to the score and the pacing and the storytelling and the dialogue and the characters and just everything. I mean, it just works, guys! This trilogy could have been a huge disaster, but instead, everything that makes these films different and unique, good or bad, they just cemented themselves into our minds and refuse to leave us alone. Take what you will from this film series, but there is a reason why people are still talking about it after almost 40 years. Through its flaws and plot holes and silliness, we still find inspiration in the themes and epicness and the drama, and basically everything this trilogy has to offer. Bottom line, to me, Return of the Jedi is not the least good of the bunch because it brings everything together. The three films complete one another, and there is no saga without any of them. And besides, compared to the stuff in the next three films, yeah, stuff in Jedi is looking pretty good by comparison, isn't it?
Leaking in here, all sinking and no power? When they use a thinking, we say in trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, I could probably go on for a while about this trilogy and about the themes and about the impact it's made and about the flaws and the good stuff and, well, you know, a lot of things that I could talk about, but I am gonna leave it there for now and just say that those are my thoughts on Return of the Jedi in a nutshell. So, of course, now my question this time around is, have you seen the film, whether it be the original or the special edition? And if so, what did you think? Well, go ahead and leave your comments below. Be sure to like and share. And if you're new and like what you saw here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, please be sure to keep checking back for more Adorkable videos coming out real soon. Bye, Adorkable!